cleared AY for 9213, know that.
Clear, got it.
Hello again, rail fans. Today's video is going to be all about a less covered operation in the Tampa area, CSX's intermodal services out of its Uceda yard and facilities. All the action starts around 5 p.m., so let's pack up and head south. About 40 minutes after leaving the house and through the quagmire that is Tampa evening traffic, we pull into the north end of CSX's Uceda intermodal yard, where nightly intermodal train IO-44 is already building his long string of high-priority containers and trailers for Jacksonville. Using the drone for a closer look, the track to the right of the screen is the A-line on its way from downtown Tampa and heading north by west to Lakeland, Orlando, and ultimately Richmond, Virginia. This part of the A-line is dotted with lots of industries, hence the need for a long switch track that a multitude of spurs branch out of. To the left is Uceda Yard, a 3-track intermodal ramp where flat cars are loaded and unloaded daily for delivery to local industries via trucks. Tonight's IO-44 is already building his train by stacking up cuts of these intermodal flat cars until his 5,000 feet of train is fully assembled.
How far back are the bad orders?
The bottom one's about 31 lanes.
They'll probably have to wait on Amtrak.
While CSX tries to get this priority train out and on the main line as quick as possible, sometimes extra switching is needed, exemplified by IO-44 tonight, discussing with the dispatcher the moves he will need to make in order to set out a couple of bad order cars.
Yeah, whenever, I guess, I'm pretty sure we're going to wait on Amtrak, but when he gets by, we're going to have to swing out, set a bad order over, come back, and then swing back out, set another one over, then couple back up, and then we'll be ready to go.
Basically like 3 signals.
Yeah, that's about right.
Alright, that's the notification then.
All right, I understand.
Bad order is railroad slang for cars that retain a defect, anything from a broken coupler to a bad axle, disabling it from running safely or smoothly. It'll take 3 passes of the signal here called AY to complete 44 switching, but before any more work can be done, Amtrak 92 is departing Tampa on that same A-line that IO-44 will need as switching room.
Sir, you got Webb, what is your 13 coming northbound to you, sir?
Hey, you have a safe trip, CSX 47.
So the engineer pulls up the train as far as he can up to the signal and stops. Amtrak is the only train on the dispatcher's desk higher in priority than these intermodals.
Clear, you see the cleared AY for 9213, know that.
Clear, got it.
When you get that light, I'm clear all track. We need 4 cars.
92 would speed out of Tampa, and in a matter of seconds, IO-44 gets a signal to proceed out of the yard and onto the main line. You might hear the crew of IO-44 call out as 728 instead of 44. 728 is the number of the lead locomotive, which is required to be said after each communication between the train crew, as to avoid confusion with conversations of other train crews using the same radio channel. IO-44 is currently pulling one of the bad order cars mentioned on the radio a few minutes prior. The engineer pulls the entire train forward just past the switch that the conductor will line for the bad order to be set out on.
3 steps, 728. Drop the 3 test 1. 728 off there. Good on the stop, 728. 4 mile an hour. 28 lined up right on point, show about 10.
With the bad order set aside on a small spur, the last cut is coupled onto, and IO-44 is ready for departure. We'd break off from the yard as IO-44 waited on his conductor to walk back to the lead engine, while we drove a few miles east to the north end of Mango Siding. Here our northbound intermodal would be cruising at the 60-mile-per-hour track speed. So by the twilight's last gleaming, IO-44 would round the bend, speeding north towards Jacksonville. IO-44 runs from Tampa to Jacksonville every night, but because Uceda Yard is along the A-line, a small loop-around maneuver must be done to veer the train off the A-line towards Orlando and onto the S-line towards Wildwood. Lakeland Connection is the spot of this switch, as just a few miles after IO-44 clears Plant City, he swerved onto the northbound Vitus subdivision, ending up at Vitus Junction, where the S-line out of Tampa joins this Vitus sub and continues north. Just 5 miles north of that junction is Dade City, where on this evening, IO-44 is screaming north with 2 GEs and a whole lot of freight. Vitus north, IO-44 has smooth running up until Baldwin, where he makes a right turn towards Jacksonville and ends up in Duval Yard, Jacksonville's massive intermodal facility, where trains like IO-44 are disassembled and placed onto trucks, or another train, like this IO-30 speeding north through Folkestone. Or this IO-26 cruising into the sunset in Cordele, Georgia. IO-44's southbound counterpart takes the same route, just from Jacksonville to Tampa now. This train tends to run late at night in Central Florida with even higher priority than its northbound counterpart. The Dade City Depot is a favorite spot to catch this train, always running track speed down the hill and out of the darkness that are the forests of Dade City. As long as Tampa continues to grow and transport commerce, intermodal trucks will continue their service, with CSX continuing its own. There's always something to move for someone somewhere, and the railroad tends to prove its worth in a large quantity. I don't have any doubt that these intermodal trains will continue to get longer each year, showing their value with this high priority freight for the companies that use them. So until we meet again somewhere out there trackside, this is Christian from Multicolor Films. End of transmission.